By the early 1900s, Red Wing, Minnesota had gained a reputation as a growing center for trade, a likely place to settle and build a new life. Swedes and Norwegians, Germans and Irishmen came by the boatload, by train, by wagon. But when they reached the Mississippi River levee, the bustling river town didn't look very promising. New arrivals stepping off a riverboat or a train saw a sparse riverbank covered in weeds and debris. The St. Paul and Chicago Railroad had completed trackage from St. Paul in 1870, bringing the city news from the outside world, mail and merchandise, as well as new residents. But there was just a run-down wooden depot to greet people. And the path from the levee up Broad Street to Main Street was a rutted gravel roadway, banked by ramshackle buildings and stacks of firewood for sale, cheap. The Red Wing Civic League, inspired by the City Beautiful movement that was sweeping the country, decided to create an elegant gateway that would make Red Wing the desirable city. According to a 1903 article in the Daily Republican newspaper, the Civic League decided,
"Start at the same place in which a perfect stranger would, at the depot. Here we would put up a large brick building near the river, surrounded by a beautiful park and with all the tracks on one side of the river."
In exchange for trackage concessions from the city, the Milwaukee Road agreed to construct a new depot and donate additional funds to begin turning the levee area into a park. Officials decided to use this money to fill in the riverfront and bank it with riprap, construct a steamboat landing, and extend city sewers to the river. The city would construct a levee wall and adjacent driveway promenade, with a wide expanse of artistically designed gardens continuing to Levee Street. As the work on the park began in 1904, plans for the new depot arrived from the railroad company architect J.M. Nedenstrom, whose work was influenced by the neoclassical revival of the 1893 Chicago Columbian Exposition. His classical design, nearly identical to the depot in Keokuk, Iowa, called for low, overhanging eaves and the use of two different tints of pressed brick trimmed with local stone. When it opened in April of 1905, the new depot was the pride of the city, according to the local newspaper, which gleefully described all of its assets: a waiting room with a fireplace with a large mirror over it, a smoking room, a ticket and telegraph office, 2 toilet rooms, and 2 rooms for express baggage. The writer praised its oak interior, green walls and cream ceilings, and the stylish oak settees patterned after those in large city depots. The same spring, A.W. Finkelberg was formally hired to oversee development of Levee Park. Citizens dug up trees on their properties, and 1,400 grade school children each donated between a penny and a nickel to buy 23 white birch, mountain ash, hard maple, and elm trees. For decades, river and rail traffic were essential to local businesses and industries. At one time, 8 trains stopped in Red Wing every day. President Truman made one of his famous whistle stops here in 1942. But all rail traffic began to decline in the 1960s, and in 1971 the federal government took over operation of all passenger train service under the name Amtrak. The once beautiful depot became a forlorn sight. Once again, the community was not pleased. In 1990, the city bought the depot for $127,000, and the Red Wing Area Fund restored it to its original grandeur. Today, the depot is listed in the National Register of Historic Places. The west half of the building houses the Visitors and Convention Bureau. The east half is the Red Wing Arts Association. Amtrak stops twice a day, and passengers sit on the old oak settees while waiting for the trains to arrive, just as they did when Red Wing was young.